good afternoon, and welcome to the garden. Welcome to Garden Conversations with Rose. We're so happy that you have chosen to be in this space with us. And as usual, with our tagline expression in the shade, we are happy to be in the garden with you. So today is July the 7th, 2021, and we are 27 more days away from our 1 year mark, our 1 year anniversary of Garden Conversations with Rose. But how did we come into this space? How did we get here? So today's episode is going to be the journey, the up close and the personal. So this is the face behind Garden Conversations with Rose. This is the author, the owner, the person who came about all of this. And my name is Rosemond. I am a native of the lovely, beautiful, gorgeous, verdant, lush Nature Isle, the Commonwealth of Dominica. But I have been a resident and also a citizen of the beautiful Antigua Barbuda for the past 30-something years since I've been here. How did I get here? How did this journey begin? I have been a bookworm from I think about the age of 4. I think from about the age of 4 up to 10. My dolls and my books were my loves. I was an incessant bookworm. I read. I think that reading took me away from all of the hurt and all of the fear and all of the pain that was around me in many instances. And so when I felt sad and when I felt lonely, I went to my books. When I was happy, when I was confident, when I was elated, when I was jubilant, when I celebrated, I went to my books. So I've been reading from a very young age. And as a very young child, I always was fascinated with the English language. I had a passion for writing as well. So back then when I read, the types of things I read ranged from the famous fives, the Secret Sevens, the Mallory Towers, and of course the Archie comic series, the Commando series, the Cowboy series, the Westerns. And as I got older, I read a lot of those Barbara Cartland romance series. I also read a lot of Danielle Steele. I read a lot of the Sidney Sheldons, the John Grishams, and so many others. I read incessantly, and of course I read my school books as well, because I think I did pretty well. I think I fared out okay in school, so I read a lot. And when I read, it transformed me. So on some days I was an adventurous person. I was somewhere in France. I was somewhere at war. It totally transformed me and it broadened my horizon. It gave me dreams. And of course, as I said, I really love the English language as well. I think I was blessed with having very good English teachers from a very young age, from primary to secondary school. And even at tertiary level where I was a teacher training too, the teachers that I had in English always encouraged us as much as possible to push ourselves. So I read a lot, and from time to time I wrote pretty good pieces. I wrote poems as well, but of course, being a very shy, introverted person, I kept them all to myself. But something happened to me when I migrated to Antigua back in 1983, 82, 83, 83. And as I entered the A-level department and walked into a room, I felt a little uncomfortable. There were stairs. I was a little late to school because I came in October. And when I went home, I sat down and wrote a poem about my experience and the entire ordeal. And then as I began feeling so homesick for my beautiful Nature Isle, I also wrote a poem. But of course, I kept this to myself. I never shared them with anyone else. But the love was always there. From time to time, as I grew older, I would write little things and keep them in places. Sometimes as I go over them, what I didn't like, I threw them out, and other things I kept. So many of the pieces I've written, I don't think I remember all of it. I've often kept journals as well, so I wrote a lot. And I always encourage my students, because I did teach English for many, many, many years. I always encourage my students to read and also to write. I enjoyed doing essay and composition writing with my students. So that love was always there. But as I said, because I was so shy, the idea of being behind a camera and being out in the public to people was something that I would not envisage. And then, years forward, we had COVID-19 about September, October 2019 in some remote part of the world that we thought would never ever touch us, much to our surprise and our dismay, and maybe to our own advantage. It came on our doorsteps in 2020, and then we were quickly huddled inside. It was as if we were caged. We were like cattle in the paddock, and we had nowhere to go. So at the stroke of 12 p.m., no one was allowed outside. What was this woman to do now? Not that I went out much anyway, but apart from the reading and the singing and the reading of the Bible and the praying and everything else that was done and the watching of the television, I needed to find something else to do. So I spent a lot of time outside in my yard that I aptly call my garden. And then here was born the idea for writing. The juices began flowing, and as I listened to the views of others about the protocols, the masks, the lockdown, and as I came to grips with what I was feeling as well about everything, the writing began taking shape one more time. I have a cousin who's a psychologist. She always kept pushing me. I then opened myself out to allow my sons, some of my past classmates and colleagues, to read some of what I had written, because I think about 20 years ago I started doing some memoirs and didn't have the courage to let anyone see what I had done. All of that came back to the fore during COVID-19 when we were on lockdown. And then on August 3rd, 2020, as I sat in my living room on my chair, Carnival Monday, a day which was supposed to have been a public holiday, but of course no frolicking could be done for anybody else. Not that I frolicked in that anyway, I'm not a part of that. But as I sat there, I said, maybe I can put myself out there. Maybe I can step out. And hence the theme for this year's 1 year is stepping out, stepping up. That's where it came from. And I remember also being a part of a group with my cousin, where she encouraged us a lot to use our potential, not be afraid of stepping out, of doing what is within us. All of that encouraged me. And then the page was known as Whispers from the Garden of the Heart. Whispers because you know what whispers are. They are sacred little stories and little things that you tell yourself and even others that you don't wish the entire world to know. So when I thought of what I had written, because they were all coming from my heart, raw emotions coming from my heart, that was where the whispers aspect came from, and they were coming from deep within my core and my soul and my being. They were part of what I believed, from my moral aspect, from my value system, from what I saw out there. That's the heart. And then from the garden, because many of the pieces were written in my garden, in my yard, that I could call my garden. Of course, being a nature island girl, loving the greenness, remembering being by my grandmother's yard in the countryside in Vegas, getting up in the morning, looking down over the seaside area, feeling that breeze, being at the riverside on a Saturday with my cousins and friends as we washed and as we frolicked and played and picked guavas and mangoes and all the other fruits. And even doing the morning walks that I usually do, all of that, being in my yard as well, the breeze, the cool breezes, the greenness, gave me that idea of whispers from the garden of the heart. start. So here was Born Whispers, and then I simply just wrote my pieces. And I remember that because I was so excited about all of that, I always celebrated every month as a milestone. And I remember one time saying, I've got something special planned. And when I simply put the piece, a colleague of mine said, I thought you were going to do a reading of your poem. And I thought about it, a reading. But I'm a little shy. How can I do a reading of it? But you know, I did step out. I stepped up to the game. So there was born the visual aspect that you see right now with me talking to you. And of course, it branched out into me doing so many topics. I talked about so many issues ranging from child abuse, sexual abuse, domestic violence, which is a very sore point for me because I myself saw it as a child. And it branched out in so many things, even in the areas of me doing little clips, video clips, taking photos, because I love taking photos of nature and of myself, of course. I celebrate myself a whole lot. All of that, all meant to soothe, to encourage, to motivate, because the world out there is filled of so much turmoil, so much anxiety, so much anger. Persons are distraught. Somebody needs to hear something nice. I believe in also human dignity and being kind. So this space is just for that. And so as I branched out, I eventually added the YouTube channel. And then, of course, I went on to do my blog site, gardenconversationswithrose.com. I told you in one of the alerts that come August the 3rd, you will see a new twist to all of what we're doing. And I have a lot of things, days in my head that I want to explore. Hence the theme, as I said, stepping out, stepping up. I believe if one has a talent, that one needs to let it out. And it's all okay to be afraid when you start. I was afraid to start. I'm still a little nervous at times because as of now, I've only done one live and still I'm yet to do others. But I urge you today, if you have a talent, to press on with your talent. Don't be afraid. Be kind always to other people. Remember that human dignity, we are all entitled to that. Believe in yourself. Honor your God. Know that you're worthy. Believe in your dreams. Do what you ought to. Those of us who are parents, help our children. And if you see something going wrong and you can do something about it, please do. So come August the 3rd, 2021, Garden Conversations with Rose will celebrate 1 year of being with you. We are so glad you have joined us in the garden. You have stayed with us in the garden. And as I always say, don't start in your chair, sip on your drink, invite a friend, but stay in the garden. Garden Conversations with Rose on our 3 platforms, Facebook, YouTube, and our blog site, gardenconversationswithrose.com. Expressions in the shade, doing what we must do to soothe and calm you at all costs. And our theme for this year, as we celebrate our 1 year on August the 3rd, stepping out, stepping out. This is Rosemond. Thank you for joining me and for staying in the garden.